Gym folklore gets passed down like scripture. Dog-eared magazines with routines circled in pencil. Advice shouted across uneven floors where the bars don't spin right. Beliefs that sound like science but spread like religion. Some of these myths shape the way you eat. Some change the way you train. One of them quietly built a modern cutting culture. And it's completely wrong. You're about to hear 16 myths from the golden age, the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s that people still repeat today. At least 2 of them shape your own approach without you realizing it. Let's see which ones. Myth 1. Breathing squats and dumbbell pullovers can permanently expand your ribcage. This one sounds like old school bodybuilding magic. 20-rep breathing squats followed immediately by dumbbell pullovers. Gas for air between reps. Stretch the ribcage. Build a wider chest. Classic physique legends swore by it. The promise was simple: rewrite your bone structure. The myth came from the golden age when chest would define the ideal look. Lifters wanted that broad, powerful torso. Magazines promoted ribcage expansion as a secret weapon. The routine felt brutal and transformative. That combination made it gospel. Here's what actually happens. Adult ribcage bones don't grow wider like inflating a balloon. Your skeleton is mostly set after puberty. What breathing squats and pullovers do improve is posture, thoracic mobility, and upper back development. The pump feels enormous. Your breathing mechanics get better. Your chest looks fuller. That temporary expansion can look permanent if you keep training. Picture the old school gym scene. A lifter gasping between squat reps, sweat dripping, then immediately stretching into pullovers with everything he has. The sensation is real. The structural bone change is not. You can absolutely improve how your torso looks. Better posture, stronger intercostals, more lat width. But you're not expanding your skeleton. You're building around it. That's still powerful, just not magic. Myth 2. Vince Gironda was right. Back squats widen your hips and ruin your V-taper. Vince Gironda ran the most famous aesthetics-first gym in bodybuilding history. He was blunt, confident, and obsessed with proportions. He hated back squats, refused to have a squat rack in his gym, claimed squats widened the hips and destroyed the V-taper. People listened because Gironda had credibility. His clients looked incredible. The myth spread because lifters wanted a villain for blocky waists. Squats became the easy target. The belief promised a shortcut. Skip squats, keep your taper. It felt like insider knowledge. Here's the reality. Squats build glutes, adductors, hip stabilizers, and overall lower body mass. For some physiques, that extra muscle development changes proportions. Your legs grow. Your hips look wider because there's more tissue around them. That's not bone widening. That's muscle doing what muscle does. Gironda wasn't arguing pure science. He was arguing aesthetics. If your goal was maximum V-taper, and you already had enough leg development, then avoiding squats made sense for that specific look. It wasn't universal truth. It was strategic choice. Imagine a gym with no squat rack, because the owner refuses it on principle. Everyone doing sissy squats and hack squats instead. Some of them looked phenomenal. Some would have benefited from traditional squats. The takeaway isn't that squats are bad. It's that your goal determines your tools. Build the physique you want, not the one someone else decided was correct. Myth 3. Eating 30+ eggs a day is basically a mild steroid cycle. This one never dies. 30 eggs a day. 50 eggs a day. The number changes, but the belief stays. Old school lifters stacked eggs like it was a secret weapon. The myth promised anabolic power, without drugs, discipline, commitment, and a strong stomach. It spread because it had shock value. Simple math. High protein. Bravado. It felt hardcore. Magazines loved the visual. A lifter cracking eggs by the dozen like it's a job. The logic seemed clean. More protein equals more muscle. Push it to extremes and you unlock something extra. Here's what eggs actually do. They're nutrient dense. High quality protein, healthy fats, vitamins. Eating a lot of them increases your total calorie and protein intake significantly. If you were undereating before, that change improves recovery and performance. You feel better. You train harder. You grow. But eggs aren't drugs. They don't trigger the same hormonal cascade. The difference people felt often came from finally eating enough total food. Consistency mattered more than the eggs themselves. Picture the kitchen table. Breakfast that takes 20 minutes just to prepare. Cracking eggs until your hand cramps. Eating until you're full, then eating more. It's commitment, yes, but it's not pharmacology. Food can be powerful. Eating enough protein transforms training outcomes, but it's still food. There's no magic threshold where chicken and eggs suddenly behave like a steroid cycle. Nutrition supports growth. It doesn't replace hormones. Myth 4. Desiccated liver tablets were the secret anabolic supplement of champions. Before protein powders dominated, bodybuilders worship whole food pills. Desiccated liver tablets sat at the top, handful before training, handful after training. The myth promised energy, size, recovery, all in a tablet. Champions swore by it. Gyms stocked it. It felt like a hidden edge. Early supplement culture loved anything that came from real food. Liver is nutrient-rich. Iron, B vitamins, trace minerals. People took massive doses and felt genuinely better. Better energy meant better training. Better appetite meant more food. The results seemed to confirm the magic. Here's the actual mechanism. Liver tablets provided micronutrients that some lifters were deficient in. Iron improves oxygen transport. B vitamins support energy metabolism. If you were dragging in training because you were low on these nutrients, liver tabs fix a real problem. That's not placebo. That's nutrition. But it's not anabolic in the hormonal sense. It's not comparable to actual performance-enhancing drugs. It was a nutrient hack, not a muscle-building miracle. Picture the ritual. A lifter opens a bottle, tips it back, swallows 6 tablets like he's taking medicine before battle. The smell is distinct. The belief is absolute. And for some people, it genuinely helped their training quality. Whole food supplements can work when they address real deficiencies. Liver tablets delivered nutrients people needed. That made them valuable. But the secret anabolic power language oversold what was really happening. It was support, not sorcery. Myth 5. The Colorado experiment proved you can gain 60+ pounds of muscle in 28 days. This one became legend. The Colorado experiment. Casey Viator. Nautilus machines. Arthur Jones documenting everything. The claim, massive muscle gain in less than a month. One set to failure training. Short workouts. Extraordinary results. It became proof that a system worked. The myth spread because people wanted a documented miracle. It sounded scientific. Numbers, measurements, a controlled setting. If it worked for Viator, maybe it could work for anyone. Nautilus equipment suddenly looked like the answer. Here's what the reality actually involves. Viator had previously built significant muscle mass. He'd lost size due to injury and downtime. Part of the rapid regain was muscle memory, not brand new tissue. Regaining lost muscle happens much faster than building it for the first time. The numbers also depend heavily on how you measure lean mass versus fat loss versus water fluctuations. The experiment was controversial even at the time. Some experts questioned the methodology. Others pointed out the unique circumstances. Viator wasn't a beginner. The context mattered enormously. Picture Nautilus-only workouts. Short, brutal sessions. Massive claims. Endless arguments afterward in gyms everywhere. People either believed completely or dismissed it completely. Few looked at the nuance. Extraordinary results require extraordinary context. Muscle memory is real. Regaining size after a layoff doesn't follow the same rules as first-time growth. The Colorado experiment showed something interesting about training intensity and recovery, but it didn't prove that anyone could gain 60 pounds of pure muscle in 4 weeks. Myth 6. If you don't train to total collapse every workout, it doesn't count. High-intensity training culture made effort the ultimate badge of honor. Train to absolute failure. Push until you can't move. Anything less is wasted time. The myth turned training into self-destruction. If you weren't shaking after one set, you didn't work hard enough. The belief spread because intensity feels like proof. Pain means progress. Effort means results. People confuse training stimulus with training punishment. The philosophy got twisted. Instead of training hard, it became training until you couldn't train again properly. Here's what actually builds muscle: progressive overload over time, consistent effort near failure, adequate recovery between sessions. Yes, training intensity matters, but constant collapse crushes your ability to recover, refine technique, and maintain frequency. You can't progress if you're always recovering from annihilation. The best lifters often manage effort like a thermostat, not a bomb. They push hard, then back off strategically. They understand that stimulus and recovery both matter. Destroying yourself in one session doesn't automatically mean better growth if it costs you the next 3 workouts. Picture a lifter shaking after one set, stumbling to the bench, unable to train anything else effectively. The workout felt epic. The next session suffers. Progress stalls. Effort absolutely matters. Training close to failure delivers results. But sustainability matters more. You grow from accumulated stimulus, not from single acts of heroic destruction. Consistency beats chaos every time. Myth 7. If you don't drink a protein shake within 30 minutes post-workout, you lose gains. This myth created an entire generation of panic. The anabolic window. 30 minutes. Miss it, and your workout was wasted. Guys sprinted to blenders like it was an emergency. Gyms sold shakes at premium prices. The urgency felt scientific. The belief spread because it was clean, scary, and simple. It created product dependence. Supplement companies loved it. The rule felt like insider knowledge. People wanted certainty. A timer gave them certainty. Here's what the science actually shows. Total daily protein intake matters most. Spreading protein across the day supports muscle protein synthesis. Timing can help optimize things slightly, but the window is much wider than 30 minutes. Some research suggests it's more like several hours. Your body doesn't shut down growth because you ate your protein shake an hour later. The panic was marketing dressed up as biology. Yes, getting protein after training is beneficial, but it's not magic. It's not an emergency. Consistency over days and weeks matters infinitely more than hitting an arbitrary post-workout timer. Picture the old-school gym scene. Someone finishes training, checks the clock, runs to the locker room, mixes powder frantically. The stress undermines the relaxation that recovery actually needs. Protein timing can support your goals, but consistency beats panic. Eat enough protein daily. Train hard. Recover properly. The exact minute you consume your shake doesn't make or break your progress. Myth 8. Carbs after 6 p.m. turn straight into fat. Real bodybuilders stop carbs by dinner. This myth quietly built modern cutting culture. The rules spread like wildfire in the 80s. No carbs at night. The clock was the enemy. Bodybuilders stared at rice like it was poison once the sun went down. Night eating became a moral failure. The belief spread because cutting culture needed rules. People wanted control. A time-based cutoff felt scientific. The logic seemed simple. You're less active at night. So carb stores fat. It promised easy fat loss if you just follow the clock. Here's the reality that changes everything. Fat gain comes from overall energy balance, not the clock alone. Your body doesn't have a 6 p.m. switch that suddenly turns carbs into fat. What matters is total daily calories, total daily macros, and how those align with your activity and goals. Late carbs can fit perfectly fine if your totals match your training. Some people actually sleep better with carbs at night. Better sleep improves recovery. Better recovery supports muscle growth and fat loss. The rule ignored individual response completely. Picture a bodybuilder in contest prep. He's exhausted. He's hungry. He looks at the clock. It's 6:15. He refuses the rice on his plate because the myth told him it's dangerous. His cortisol stays elevated. His sleep suffers. His progress slows. The clock isn't a fat-storing mechanism. Context matters. Nutrient timing can be useful, but it's not a moral law. You can eat carbs at night and still lose fat if your total intake supports it. Myth 9. High reps are for definition. Low reps are for mass. There's a magic hypertrophy zone. This is the biggest myth that refuses to die. 3 to 5 reps builds mass. 8 to 12 is hypertrophy. 15 plus is definition. Magazines sold it. Coaches repeated it. Gyms organized around it. It became religion. The belief spread because people crave certainty. Easy labels feel like answers. Beginners especially wanted a formula. The myth promised that if you just hit the right rep range, you'd unlock the result you wanted. It felt scientific, even though it was oversimplified marketing. Here's what actually drives muscle growth: progressive overload, proximity to failure, adequate volume over time. Muscle can grow across a wide rep range if those factors are in place. 5 reps can build size if the sets are hard enough. 20 reps can build size if the sets are hard enough. Different rep ranges emphasize different qualities: strength, endurance, fatigue tolerance. But they all stimulate growth when executed properly. The real difference isn't mass versus definition. Definition comes from losing body fat, not from rep ranges. You can't carve detail into muscle by doing higher reps. You reveal detail by reducing the fat covering it. Picture 2 lifters. One swears by heavy sets of 5. Another swears by brutal sets of 20. Both grow. Both get stronger. Both work hard and progress consistently. The rep number isn't the magic. The stimulus is the magic. It's not the number on the program. It's the effort behind it. That realization changes everything about how you approach training. Myth 10. You must constantly confuse a muscle or growth stops. Muscle confusion became a marketing slogan. Change exercises every week. Shock the body. Keep it guessing. The myth promised that if you did the same movement twice, your muscles would adapt and refuse to grow. Variety became chaos. The belief came from old-school, muscle-shocking language. Later, it got twisted into program chaos. People thought unpredictability was the key. Constantly switching exercises felt productive. It felt advanced. Here's what muscles actually respond to: overload, tension, fatigue. Muscles don't get confused. They don't have brains. They adapt to progressive stimulus. If you keep getting stronger at a movement, you keep growing. If you randomly change exercises every session, you never get good at anything. You never progress. You just flail. Variety has a place. It prevents staleness. It trains different movement patterns. It keeps training interesting. But random change for the sake of change kills progression. You can't track improvement if you never repeat anything. Picture a lifter who changes everything weekly. Bench press 1 week. Dumbbell press the next. Machine press after that. Push-ups after that. He never gets stronger at any single movement. He spins his wheels wondering why he's not growing. Muscles don't need confusion. They need progression. Pick movements. Get stronger at them. Add volume intelligently. That's how growth happens. Variety is a tool, not a requirement. Myth 11. You can melt fat off one body part by blasting that muscle. Spot reduction. The dream that never dies. Do 5,000 sit-ups and lose belly fat. High rep leg work melts thigh fat. Train abs hard enough and you'll see them. It's emotionally appealing. People desperately want targeted control. The myth spread because ads and routines promised it. Magazines showed ripped abs next to routine. The implication was clear. Train the area, lose the fat. It felt logical. Work the muscle, burn the fat above it. Here's what actually happens. Fat loss is systemic. Your body pulls energy from fat stores based on genetics, hormones, and overall energy deficit. You can't command where fat comes off. Training a muscle builds that muscle. It doesn't preferentially burn fat from that location. You can do endless of work and still have belly fat if your overall body fat percentage is high. Local muscle growth happens. Local fat loss doesn't work that way in practice. You grow abs from training. You reveal abs from losing fat globally. Picture someone doing sit-ups every single day. Hundreds of reps. Months pass. The abs get stronger. The waistline looks the same. Frustration builds. The myth promised direct results. Reality delivered something different. Train the muscle to build it. Lose fat through overall caloric deficit and time. That's the unglamorous truth. Spot reduction is fantasy. Progressive global fat loss is reality. Myth 12, sauna suits, plastic wraps, and extra sweat mean extra fat loss. Cutting culture in the 80s loved anything extreme. Sauna suits in the gym, plastic wrap around the waist, extra layers to increase sweat. The scale drops fast. It feels like proof. The myth promised accelerated fat loss through heat and sweat. The belief spread because the immediate feedback was undeniable. Weigh yourself before. Train in the suit. Weigh yourself after. You're lighter. That number drop felt like victory. Competitors use it before weigh-ins. Everyone assumed it meant fat loss. Here's the reality. Sweat is water loss, not fat loss. Your body sheds water to cool itself. The moment you rehydrate, the weight returns. You didn't burn extra fat. You just temporarily dehydrated yourself. Overdoing heat stress can backfire badly. Performance drops. Recovery suffers. In extreme cases, it's dangerous. Some athletes use it strategically for weigh-ins, then rehydrate immediately. That's different from thinking sweat equals fat burning. It's a temporary scale trick, not body composition change. Picture a lifter peeling off a soaked suit. He steps on the scale. 5 pounds lighter. He feels accomplished. He drinks water. The weight comes back. He's confused. The fat didn't leave. The water did. Sweat changes hydration status. It doesn't rewrite your body fat percentage. Fat loss requires sustained caloric deficit over time. Shortcuts that manipulate water weight don't accelerate that process. Myth 13. Machines are cheating. Only barbells build real muscle. Old school purity culture created tribalism. Free weights were real training. Machines were soft. Cheating. Bodybuilders who used machines weren't legit. The myth spread because identity and tradition fused together. Gyms without machines felt tougher, more authentic. The belief ignored reality. Nautilus revolutionized training by creating machines that provided resistance curves barbells couldn't match. Machines allowed safer training to failure. They isolated muscles effectively. They reduced injury risk for certain movements. Some of the greatest physiques ever built used machines extensively. Free weights and machines solve different problems. Barbells teach coordination, stability, and full body tension. Machines allow targeted overload without worrying about balance. Both are tools. Neither is cheating. The irony is that some of the loudest barbells' only voices were people who never built impressive physiques. Meanwhile, the strongest, biggest lifters used whatever worked. They didn't worship tools. They worship results. Picture someone mocking a machine in the corner. Meanwhile, the strongest guy in the gym quietly uses it after his barbell work. He's pragmatic. He's growing. The purist is stuck. Tools aren't cheating. Misuse is cheating. Ego is cheating. Machines are just another way to create tension, fatigue, and progressive overload. That's what builds muscle, not the equipment's pedigree. Myth 14. You can turn fat into muscle when bulking, then turn muscle into fat when you stop. This myth confuses beginners constantly. Bulk up, turn fat into muscle. Stop training, muscle turns into fat. It sounds like transformation. It's a simple story that makes body composition changes easy to understand. The language stuck because it's emotionally clean. The belief spread because people see visual changes and assume conversion. Someone leans out, their muscles look bigger. It seems like the fat became muscle. Someone stops training. They get softer. It seems like muscle became fat. Here's the biological reality. Fat and muscle are completely different tissue types. Fat cells store energy. Muscle cells contract and generate force. You can't convert one into the other. They're not interchangeable. What actually happens during body recomposition is simultaneous, but separate processes. You lose fat. You gain muscle. They happen at the same time under certain conditions, especially for beginners or returning lifters. When someone stops training and gains fat, they're losing muscle from disuse and gaining fat from caloric surplus. Two separate processes, not transformation. Picture someone who diets down. Fat decreases, muscle becomes visible. The change is dramatic. The myth says the fat turned into muscle. The truth is simpler. The muscle was always there, just hidden. Body recomposition is real. You can lose fat and gain muscle simultaneously in the right conditions. but conversion is fiction. Understanding the difference changes how you approach training and nutrition. Myth 15. Soreness means growth. If you're not sore, you didn't build anything. Soreness became the scoreboard. No pain, no gain taken literally. People chase soreness like it was a goal itself. If you could walk normally after leg day, you failed. The myth turned muscle damage into the primary signal of progress. The belief spread because soreness feels like proof. You train hard. You're sore. Connection made. It's satisfying psychologically. Beginners especially rely on soreness because they don't have other metrics yet. Pain becomes a feedback loop. Here's what soreness actually indicates. Muscle damage from unfamiliar movements or excessive eccentric stress. You get sore when you try something new. You get sore when you overdo volume or intensity. But soreness and growth aren't perfectly correlated. You can grow with minimal soreness if you're progressing consistently. You can be extremely sore without meaningful growth if the stimulus wasn't appropriate. Too much soreness can actually harm progress. If you're so sore you can't train effectively for a week, you reduce training frequency. Lower frequency often means less total growth stimulus over time. Picture a lifter chasing soreness every session. He changes exercises constantly. He's always sore. He's never getting stronger at anything. He's stuck wondering why he doesn't grow. Progress is a real scoreboard. Are you getting stronger? Are you adding reps or weight? Are you building volume over time? Those markers matter infinitely more than whether you're sore the next day. Myth 16. Old school legends didn't need warm-ups, mobility, or recovery. They just trained. The tough guy myth. Champions walked in, grabbed the bar, went heavy immediately. No warm-up, no stretching, no recovery protocols. Just pure intensity and willpower. The myth spread because highlight reels don't show preparation. They show the dramatic moments. Stories get edited. The boring parts disappear. Warm-ups aren't dramatic. Gradual ramp-up sets aren't exciting. Light pump work before heavy lifting doesn't make good gym folklore. So those details vanish from the legend. What remains is a hero walking in and dominating immediately. Here's what actually happened off camera. Most serious lifters did warm up. They ramped weight gradually. They did light sets to get blood flowing and joints ready. They understood that performance improves when the body is prepared. The ones who skipped this often paid for it with injuries that ended careers early. Recovery existed too. It just wasn't branded the way it is now. Lifters took rest days. They adjusted volume when they were beat up. They listened to their bodies because survival in the sport required it. The myth erased the wisdom and kept only the bravado. Picture the reality. A lifter arrives early, does some light movement, builds up to working weight gradually, feels his body respond, then hits the intense work. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. The no warm-up legend is storytelling, not training advice. Smart lifters prepared. They just didn't make a show of it. 16 myths. 16 beliefs that spread through gyms like gospel. They came from magazines, coaches, supplement ads, contest prep culture, and the natural human desire for simple answers. Some of them changed how people ate for decades. Some turned training into panic instead of progress. One of them quietly built the fear of carbs at night that still dominates cutting culture today. None of these myths spread because people were stupid. They spread because they offered certainty in an uncertain process. They promised control. They gave lifters something to believe in when results felt distant. That's how gym folklore works. It fills the gap between effort and outcome with stories that feel true. The bodybuilders who built the greatest physiques in history didn't follow myths. They followed principles. Progressive overload, adequate nutrition, consistent recovery, intelligent variation. They tested what worked for their bodies and ignored the noise. That's the real legacy, not the myths. The willingness to question them.